Welcome to a brand new session that will focus on another important aspect of the business school interview, that is, the leadership. In this part of the course, we will talk about the various questions associated with leadership, which is a key requirement of the admission authorities. To successfully convince the admission committee, you must have leadership attributes. Every individual is a member of the community, both in their personal and professional life. Individuals with leadership qualities constantly ponder over how they can improve the community. These individuals transcend just by merely being members of the community and participate through the help of others by assuming a leadership role to achieve a long-term impact for the community. A leadership character is one of the principal assets that the business schools look for in their aspiring candidates pool. Leadership skills, team player skills, respect and appreciation for others, as well as a unique perspective and benevolent inclinations, are all the qualities that the admission committee wants to see from you. Although you may have plenty of stories to tell in support of your leadership character, but you should only choose those examples which greatly improved your ability to lead and illustrate unique features of your style of leadership. Present an instance where you had to employ a combination of your different leadership skills. Bear in mind that when responding to the subject of leadership, it is less about your achievements and more about the learning experience that developed you as a leader. Let us discuss more about the personal headship queries. The admission committee understands that your career just kicked off, and as such, they don't anticipate great leadership accomplishments at this point. However, you have to demonstrate real-life experience and hard evidence of having attained some level of achievement in leading other people. Should you in any case have attained a great level of leadership achievements, do not hesitate to illustrate them. But if this is not the case, present your classroom or work experiences as a team leader. Illustration of any leadership accomplishments that you have highlighted in your extracurricular deeds or as a volunteer can also be a good option. So let us look into the likely questions on leadership and some of the suitable responses. The interviewer will ask you, how did you contribute at an instance where a recognized team leader was not identified? A suitable answer would be, just as I had completed my college studies and landed a first full-time job, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. This diagnosis came when I was only 22, just 2 months after I completed college, and I remember that we believed she would turn out okay. However, I was still nervous, and I had taken matters into my own hands. I investigated at the American Cancer Societies and found out about Relay for Life events, which are fundraisers for the society. In a few months' time, a fundraiser was scheduled to happen in my hometown, and I signed up to be team leader. I engaged former schoolmates and my workmates. It did not take long before they lost their interest, especially after I explained that Relay for Life demanded their full commitment with workouts, monthly meetings, and also fundraising. In the end, I was left with 15 committed friends and colleagues who announced that we shall come with a minimum of $1,500 fund at the end. I always look for challenges, and so I set the target at $3,000. During the first meeting, I encouraged all the members of my team to state their names, and if any of them had the experience of a loved one fighting cancer, I insisted them to share their struggle. The discussion revealed that each member had a loved one that fought cancer, and despite the fact that some team members barely knew each other, having a common connection brought us closer to each other. Ultimately, my team managed to collect $3,800, leading up to the day of the event. My mom, who inspired my cause, was at the relay, and I appreciated seeing her there. Ever since then, I have been involved with Relay for Life, and I have raised a significant amount of money. Based on the answer, you can anticipate follow-up questions like, how did you convince the others to become part of your team? What did this experience teach you? What attributes did you utilize to achieve your intended mission? How did the know-how impact consequent team circumstances? How were you regarded as a team leader? Here's an analysis of the answer. Even though you can display that you possess the leadership qualities by completing the leadership duties assigned to you, the admission committee is more interested in a practical example of a situation where you identified an issue or chance and took it upon yourself to resolve the problem. In the previous response, the interviewee presented himself as a team leader and accomplished an important task. Most importantly, a leader must have a team to lead, so your leadership story must feature an incident where you convinced other people to assist you in your efforts. In our above example, you would have noted that the interviewee told a story that stressed the significance of putting the team members together and efforts to ensure team morale and motivation. Share a story that demonstrates your long-term contribution. Another question you might be asked by the interviewer is, tell me of an instance where you had to assemble a team together. You might ask yourself, what is the appropriate response to the question? Whatever answer you give, it needs to be short and precise. I used to enjoy playing drums in the marching orchestra, and for my whole life I had desired to be a member of a rock and roll group. I worked hard to attain this goal in my last year of college. In 1 month's period, I did many auditions, which commenced with playing with a variety of bass players, until I found a band which played the type of music that I love. We auditioned singers after having practiced for several weeks. The other band members agreed that I should have the final say, but I understood that if I forced my way without considering the feedback of the other band members, the group would not have a future. Each of the band members had their own preference of the singers. As a result, I decided to set up a meeting so that every member of the band could state their reason for choosing their preferred singer. We had a second vote session and ended up with a lead singer through majority. We played for years at the campus and the community, and we had managed to build a cult following. Up to this day, we are the best of friends and get together every once in a while to play. Following are the probable follow-up questions centered on the above response. How did you manage to get the admiration of others? During the team-building process, what were your thoughts and feelings? What are some of the mistakes, if any, do you think you might have made? How has your leadership experience been impacted by these experiences? Analysis based on the above question. Great leadership stories can also be non-business related circumstances as demonstrated in the above response. The above interviewee illustrates that he has a unique team player leadership approach. The interviewee was able to recognize that even though he had the permission of his bandmates to pick the lead singer, it would be in the best interest of everyone involved that a shared decision was made. The interviewee also demonstrates an inclination to assess the objectives of the group, and as such, makes the correct decision. Both of these leadership qualities illustrate to the admission committee that the interviewee is the right candidate for their MBA program. Do not brush aside your resourcefulness and non-business efforts. When illustrating your past experiences as a leader, they could be your safest bet for impressing the entry panel. The following are some of the other questions that may be asked in relation to leadership. Can you inform me of an instance where you switched from a team member to being its leader? Can you please offer your definition of a leader? In what way can you define your leadership approach? Can you describe an instance where other members of the team weren't as motivated as you were? An intelligent and careful response approach is most desired for leadership questions. Suppose the interviewer inquires how you would describe your leadership approach. You should immediately understand that the question requires you to illustrate your leadership attributes. The answer should be as follows. My leadership approach is best exemplified by modesty. As an elected class president in the 8th grade, I found myself desiring to be a leader. My earlier idea of a leader, even my appointment to class president, was someone who was above his or her followers. I found that I was no different than my fellow students, even after being appointed as their leader. My conviction then, just as it is now, is that a leader is only a representative of the people, and he or she should work for the benefit of his or her people and serve the interest of all who are concerned. I can honestly say that my leadership approach has earned me a lot of admiration and respect, but at the same time, it has caused some of the team members to contest me. My leadership style has been effective in assisting me to find the equilibrium between being a modest leader and an assertive one at the same time. The following are the follow-up questions that may be asked. Please illustrate an instance where your leadership approach has been effective. State an individual whose leadership approach you like. What situation could highlight a weakness in your leadership style? Each follow-up question is different, depending on the interviewee's response. Let us talk about the quality of the answer. One of the missions of any MBA program is to effectively train leaders so that they can make a positive contribution towards the society. Therefore, leadership can be defined in many ways, and so the questions on leadership can as well be interpreted and answered in numerous ways. The above response illustrates that it is okay to reveal that your leadership abilities are still in a development phase, and it is also one of the reasons that motivates you to join a business school. You do not have to demonstrate exceptional leadership skills. Despite the admission committee's expectations that you have the key ingredients to become a great leader, it is okay if your leadership skills have not yet fully matured. Of more interest to the admission committee is how you've progressed as a leader, what your definition of a leader is, and finally, how you activated your potential for leadership. The committee wants you to demonstrate an awareness of your main leadership skills, whether they are exceptional or not, and whether you realize that you can improve them to become more effective.